At 4:44 a.m., Archangel Michael wept. Not out of anger, but because of what you forgot. This is your sign. Something sacred was disturbed before dawn. The hour was 4:44 a.m., a divine alignment, a portal of power, a moment only heaven could understand. At this holy hour, Archangel Michael, the defender of divine order, stood still. The warrior did not raise his sword. He did not call down fire. He did not roar with command. He wept, not because of betrayal, not because of defeat. He wept because something powerful inside you had been left behind. A memory buried, a truth overlooked, a calling once burning bright, now flickering in silence. You wept because heaven saw what you stopped seeing in yourself. The light, the purpose, the covenant written into your soul before your first breath. This message is not born of judgment. It is born of love, of urgency, of divine ache. Because what you've forgotten is what your enemies hope you'd forget. What you've dismissed is what hell fears most. At that hour, your name was spoken in the courts of heaven, not in condemnation, but in concern. A spiritual alarm was sounded, not because of what you've done wrong, but because of what you stopped doing right. You stopped praying like you used to. You stopped trusting like you once did. You stopped believing in who you were when heaven sent you. And so, Michael wept, because in forgetting who you are, you surrendered ground that was once firmly yours. You forgot how to war. You forgot how to walk in light while the shadows whispered. You forgot the promise that was made to your bloodline and the torch you were meant to carry. This moment, this message, is not just a whisper. It is a spiritual intervention. It is the unraveling of delay. It is the recall of your anointing. You are being summoned back into remembrance. You are being shaken so that you may rise. This is your sign. Your name was spoken. Your timeline was marked. Your angels have been released. But they wait for your response. Archangel Michael speaks. And when he speaks, the heavens shift. A wind stirs. The veil between realms thins. And when he weeps, the spirit world holds its breath. A moment was not random. It was not poetic. It was prophetic. Exactly 4:44 a.m., a code was activated. A message was sealed. A soul, your soul, was marked for reawakening. And so the mighty Archangel, clothed in celestial armor and wielding the blade of holy fire, stood over your destiny and wept, not because of wrath, not because of punishment, but because of what had been forgotten, what had been yours, what still is yours. Heaven did not send this message for condemnation. No, this message was carved into the morning mist so you could be called back, called into position, called into power, called into remembrance. The tear of an angel is not weakness, it is war. And this war is not being fought around you. It is being fought for you. Be careful. Be very careful. Because something is shifting in your atmosphere right now. And it will not wait long. Archangel Michael has released this message in the spirit to declare, time is collapsing. Portals are opening. Assignments are reactivating. But this moment requires awareness. This moment demands spiritual sensitivity. You are standing in the intersection of divine memory and personal delay. Something that belonged to you, something ancient, something holy, has been waiting in the wings of your timeline. But you have forgotten how to see. You've forgotten how to discern the flicker of heaven in your daily grind. And so heaven stirred the angelic. Heaven released the defender. Heaven allowed a single tear to fall at 4:44 a.m. so that your soul would hear it land like thunder in the spirit realm. You may not have heard it with your ears, but your spirit did. That's why you're here now, listening, shaken, stirred. Somewhere inside, you know this isn't coincidence. It never was. Within the next 24 hours, something is going to attempt to distract you. Someone is going to present you with a version of reality that seems urgent, but it is only a decoy, a trap to deter your awakening. This moment was designed to pull you back into sacred alignment, but distraction will try to keep you asleep. That's why the message had to come through in this form. That's why Michael was sent. This isn't just another spiritual message. This is a divine recall. You are being called by name. You are being reminded of who you are before life muted your memory, before disappointment distorted your identity, before people made you shrink just to fit into rooms you were sent to fill. You are not forgotten. You are not small. You are not powerless. And the tears of the Archangel are proof that heaven still sees you. You have a choice. Right now, in this exact moment, you can ignore the pull you feel. You can scroll past it. You can tell yourself it's just a coincidence. Or you can remember. You can surrender your fear. You can rise in your faith. You can answer the call that's ringing in the spirit even now. Because the one who defends heaven's gates weeps not for the lost, but for the chosen who lost their way. You are not lost. You are marked. And the countdown to your remembering has already begun. In the next 24 hours, watch for confirmation. A whisper, a number, a dream, a flash of knowing. When it comes, don't ignore it. Don't downplay it. This is your sign, and heaven is watching for your response. Type "I am chosen" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 444 is now surrounding you. Someone thought they understood your silence. Someone thought your retreat meant defeat. Someone thought your quietness meant compliance. But they are mistaken. Deeply mistaken. They've been watching from afar, crafting a version of you that only exists through their insecurity. And in the shadows of their conversations, your name has been dancing on tongues that have no authority over your destiny. A conversation is happening behind your back. Not once, not twice. It's been building. And this dialogue is not harmless. It is laced with distortion, coated in assumption, and fueled by jealousy disguised as concern. They are not just talking about you. They are misinterpreting your silence as surrender. But what they don't know, what they cannot see, is that the silence was holy. The silence was sacred. The silence was ordered. Because in your stillness, heaven was speaking. There are people in your circle, or perhaps just outside of it, who are peering into your timeline with confusion. They've noticed your shift. They sense the retreat, but they cannot understand the reason. And because they cannot understand, they have filled the unknown with noise. They are crafting stories. They are relaying versions of you that no longer exist, ghosts of a former self you have outgrown. But here is the divine insight Archangel Michael brings. Their misunderstanding is not an accident. It is a test, a mirror, a measure of your progress. They were meant to misread you, because if they truly saw who you've become, they would try harder to bind you again. This confusion, it is your cover. This misinterpretation, it is your protection. Heaven is hiding your next move from those who can't handle your emergence. You are being blurred to them, and that blur is divine. But let this be clear. Not all eyes on you are harmless. There is a spiritual tension forming behind the scenes. a watching presence, a monitoring spirit. Someone has tied their validation to your stagnation. They can only feel big if you stay small. And now, as your spiritual fragrance begins to shift, as your aura brightens, they feel the loss of control. And so they whisper, they watch, they project, they accuse. But Archangel Michael says, do not be afraid. They are not in control of what they cannot comprehend. They have uncovered something, but only a fragment, a sliver, a shard. They see a portion of your light, and they think it's the full picture. But heaven has veiled your fullness for a reason. Because if they saw the entirety of who you are about to become, they'd either try to destroy you or attach themselves to you. And so the Spirit moves silently, covering you in this hour. You are in the middle of divine concealment. A vagoon. A pause that looks like regression but is actually resurrection. But beware, because confusion invites commentary, and commentary invites confrontation. They are building a narrative, brick by brick, word by word, and you must remain still, not silent from weakness, but silent in strategy. This is not your moment to explain. This is not your moment to defend. This is your moment to watch. Watch who speaks. Watch who questions. Watch who doubts. Because what they say now will echo after your ascension. You must see their faces before the throne lifts you. You must hear their voices before heaven confirms you. This mystery, this emotional disruption, is not punishment. It is purification. You are not being attacked. You are being aligned. If this message resonates with you and you feel moved to support, consider giving a super thanks with a contribution of up to $20. Your kindness helps us bring more powerful content your way and keeps this spiritual mission flowing strong. Type I am seen by heaven in the comments if you feel this word. Blessing code 1212 is now activated in your favor. This is not personal. It never was. The conflict around you, the misunderstanding, the sudden tension, the whispers, they were never about you as a person. They were about your purpose, your light, your calling. And now, Archangel Michael speaks with thunder in his voice. This battle is not of flesh. This is spiritual. The resistance is not rising because of what you did. The resistance is rising because of what you carry. You are not being pushed because you are weak. You are being watched because you are anointed. You were marked long before the world ever knew your name. And now that mark is glowing again, and darkness is reacting. Let it be known, shadows only gather where there is light. And your light, yes, your light, is waking up dimensions that have been sleeping. Heaven placed a seed of fire inside you, and now it is stirring again. That's why people have been acting differently. That's why environments have shifted. That's why the pressure feels intense, even without explanation. Because the realm of spirit knows what you've been trying to forget. The realm of spirit remembers the vow heaven made over your life. And so while you move through your days wondering why old wounds are reopening, why certain people feel off, why you sense eyes on you, Archangel Michael reminds you, this is not confusion. This is confirmation. You are waking up again, and the realm of darkness is disturbed. You must stop seeing this as coincidence, a name from your past surfacing again, that conversation that rubbed your spirit wrong, that sudden feeling of being watched, doubted, second-guessed. That was not random. That was resistance reacting to resurrection. The version of you that tried to fit in, the one that stayed silent to keep peace, the one who lowered their flame so others could stay comfortable, that version is dying. And the new you, the remembered you, the one who heaven wept for at 4:44 a.m., is rising. And the moment you started walking toward your light again, every dormant demon that used to whisper lies about your worth began to stir again. Because you no longer believe the lie. Because you're no longer bound to what tried to define you. And the moment you walked in that truth, the air shifted. Michael says, this is the cost of calling. This is the burden of brilliance. This is the pressure that comes with purity. You are a divine disruptor, an atmosphere shifter. You were not sent here to blend in. You were sent here to break cycles. And when someone breaks a cycle, it disrupts every familiar spirit that fed on the old pattern. So now, they are angry. The enemy isn't attacking because you're cursed. The enemy is attacking because you've remembered you're blessed. You're favored. You're covered. You're sealed. And that seal speaks louder than any rumor. That anointing covers more than any accusation. And that covenant is older than their words. You must stop explaining yourself to people who cannot interpret the language of your spirit. You must stop trying to reason with those who only speak fear when your soul is tuned to faith. You were never meant to be understood by those who are still bound by what you broke free from. So don't apologize for your shift. Don't apologize for your distance. Don't apologize for the fire that's starting to burn again in your bones. This isn't a mood. This is a mandate. And Michael stands as witness that heaven's army is now behind you. Not because of your perfection, but because of your position. You are aligned. You are protected. You are no longer hidden. A war found you because your light reactivated the battlefield. Type I am anointed in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7777 is now activated and guarding your elevation. Archangel Michael now lifts his voice not in mourning, but in warning. The tear has fallen. The veil has lifted. And now, the resistance is not just spiritual. It is moving into form. Listen closely. Someone is preparing to act. Not out of courage, but out of fear. Not från virken, but från vujen. There is a disturbance in your field. A person, someone familiar or once trusted, is being used as a vessel for chaos. The whispers are growing legs. The intentions are evolving. Where there were only rumors, there may now be reactions. And Michael says clearly, prepare yourself. Guard your heart. Guard your energy. Guard your silence. Because what is said next, what is attempted next, will try to pull you out of divine alignment. And if you're not grounded in spirit, you'll respond in flesh and delay what heaven is trying to advance. There is someone watching, not with awe but with anxiety. Your name has surfaced in their atmosphere not by their choosing, but by divine design. The favor on your life is irritating the dormant mediocrity in theirs. And they've convinced themselves that your elevation is a threat to their security. So now, rather than look inward, they are pointing outward. Rather than grow, they are accusing. They may send a message. They may call. They may bait you into a confrontation disguised as concern. It will look like reconciliation, but it will feel like robbery. It will sound soft, but something in your spirit will sting. Do not ignore that sting. It is discernment. It is the spirit flashing red around a moment of decision. You have already been warned. Michael reveals this. The confrontation is not about facts. It is about friction. The friction between who you were and who you are becoming. And this person, this situation, this voice, is trying to anchor you in an outdated version of yourself. But Archangel Michael did not weep for that version. You wept for the current you. the one heaven is elevating. That means you cannot afford to be reactive. You cannot afford to return to a mindset that no longer fits. The next 3 hours, yes, 3, are critical. Something may surface. A thought, a memory, a call, an emotion. And what you do not say will speak louder than what you could ever scream. Let heaven speak for you now. Let the silence thunder. Let your restraint preach a sermon that fear cannot copy. Your eyes on you. Some watching for your fall. Others watching for your response. But all of them are witnessing the war. And Michael says, stand still. Do not give them the show they are craving. Do not give them the words they'll twist. Do not give them access they no longer deserve. This is your moment to master the divine art of stillness. Not weakness, not avoidance, but strategy. Kingdom strategy. Because you're not the same. You're not who they remember. You've been altered by revelation. You've been refined by fire. And now your silence is not retreat. It's resistance. It's your way of saying, I know who I am, and I don't have to prove it to anyone. This action is the alarm. It is the spiritual siren echoing through your timeline. The war is not coming. The war is here. But you are not unarmed. You are not exposed. Archangel Michael stands before you, sword drawn, wings extended, shielding your steps. This moment will pass. This opposition will collapse. This threat will dissolve. But your reaction will determine how long the delay lasts. Stay rooted. Stay covered. Stay quiet. Because every minute you resist the bait, heaven prepares another door to open. And while they conspire, God is constructing. While they twist your name, God is establishing your legacy. And while they monitor your actions, God is marking your next move with glory. Type I am guarded in the comments if you hear this warning. Blessing code 3030 now covers your words, your thoughts, and your timeline. Now comes the sacred pause, the holy stillness, the divine moment where Archangel Michael does not fight, but guards. Where the war quiets, not because the threat has ended, but because heaven is holding the line while you breathe. This is where you shift from survival to strategy, from fear to faith, from noise to knowing. Archangel Michael stands before you, not with thunder in his voice, but with a whisper meant only for your soul. Be still. Let them talk. Let them plot. Let them think they understand. Heaven fights for you now. And in that stillness, a new type of power is born. Not loud, not violent, not reactive, but unshakable. Immovable. Rooted in knowing that silence is not weakness. Silence is warfare in disguise. Let this be clear. You do not owe anyone an explanation for your evolution. You do not owe them a timeline, a confession, a walkthrough of your wounds. You do not owe them the energy it takes to correct their narrative. Michael is making this moment sacred by giving you permission, divine permission, to stop performing for people who never saw the depth of your calling. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be obedient. And obedience often looks like quietness, like stepping away, like letting misinterpretation stand, not because it's right, but because it's beneath your response. Your voice is precious. Your truth is powerful. But your peace is your most strategic weapon. When you hold your peace, heaven releases answers. When you remain silent in wisdom, angels are dispatched on your behalf. There is nothing more disarming to the enemy than a soul at rest. Because a rested soul is a dangerous soul. Rest is not laziness, it is resistance. It says, I am not moved by your confusion. I am not shaken by your chaos. I know who I am, and I trust who's covering me. The temptation to clarify, to react, to fight back is strong, because your flesh wants justice. Your ego wants redemption. Your heart wants to be understood. But Michael declares, redemption is already unfolding. Justice has already been assigned. Understanding is not a prerequisite for elevation. What you need now is posture, not defense, not defiance. Lazu. Stand in it. Breathe in it. Trust it. If you find yourself trembling, if your spirit feels stirred, know that it's not weakness, it's transition. You're shedding the version of yourself that had to defend everything. You're releasing the need to be heard by those who can't hear beyond their bias. You're detaching from the compulsion to protect what heaven is already preserving. This is a new dimension of faith, a new realm of clarity. And Archangel Michael is standing on the edges of your territory, sword unsheathed, saying, not this time. They will not drag you back. They will not bait you into war. They will not twist your truth. But for that divine shield to hold, you must resist the urge to act prematurely. Stay grounded. Stay hidden. Stay holy. Let your stillness thunder louder than their noise. Let your restraint echo louder than their accusations. Let your peace frustrate every plot built to provoke you. This is what spiritual maturity looks like. This is what elevation requires. This is what it means to be truly guarded by heaven. You don't fight the same when you know angels walk beside you. You don't panic when the defender has already cleared the path. Michael is not pacing in anxiety. He is posted in position. You are covered. You are not late. You are not weak. You are not unworthy. You are remembered, and because you are remembered, you are protected. Type I am protected in the comments if you receive this word. Blessing code 8181 is now sealing your mind, your space, and your name. This is the turning. This is where the weight lifts and the flame reignites. This is the moment Archangel Michael no longer shields, but steps aside, revealing what you were always becoming. Heaven did weep because you were lost. Heaven wept because you forgot. But now you remember. Something ancient is rising in your spirit. A strength you thought you lost. A voice you buried under layers of disappointment. A vision you silenced because it scared the people around you. But that vision is alive. That light is stirring. That power is reclaiming its place. And Michael declares with clarity, you are no longer who they thought you were. You are more. You are fire. You are awakening. Let those who thought your silence meant surrender look again. Let those who confuse your retreat with retreat watch closely. Because out of the ashes you rise. Not as you were, but as you were always meant to be. The forgotten you. The called you. The fearless, fire-filled, heaven-backed you. The one the enemy hoped would stay buried in regret. The one certain people tried to tame with guilt. The one life tried to numb with disappointment. But resurrection cannot be stopped once it's triggered. And 4:44 a.m., that divine hour, was not just a number. It was a code, a celestial key. And now that it has unlocked you, nothing and no one can place you back into the cage you've been freed from. You are not weak. You are weary. There's a difference. You are not broken. You are being rebuilt. Quietly. In the dark. In the hidden places. You were not losing time, you were gaining wisdom. And now, with every breath, that wisdom becomes a weapon that doesn't cut with vengeance but shines with truth, a weapon that doesn't destroy people but dismantles lies. The truth is, the version of you rising now cannot be manipulated, cannot be guilted, cannot be baited into false alliances or old roles. You are shifting, and the shift is undeniable. This is the version of you that heaven had in mind all along. Your feet are being placed on higher ground. You are gaining territory, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual. Your name is being whispered in rooms you haven't entered yet. Your purpose is being recognized by dimensions your mind hasn't comprehended. And while some people mourn who you used to be, heaven is celebrating who you are finally becoming. Let them mourn. Let them question. Let them call it pride. Let them call it ego. Heaven calls it alignment. Archangel Michael calls it victory. The voice of God calls it remembrance. You are not arrogant for reclaiming your identity. You are not harsh for choosing truth. You are not wrong for walking away from what once kept you bound. You are finally right, and righteousness is not always understood by the ones still chained. Watch now. Watch how the same people who doubted you begin to distance themselves, not because you've changed, but because they can't manipulate this new version of you. Watch how your silence begins to echo in the minds of those who once had access to your thoughts. Watch how the blessings begin to fall, not because you fought harder, but because you finally surrendered, because you finally remembered, because you finally let go of the need to explain and chose instead to evolve. Archangel Michael rejoices not just because you made it, but because you chose it, because you aligned with the code sent in the tears, because you responded to the call hidden inside the cry. If this message has spoken to the warrior in you, and you feel led to support, consider giving us super thanks. Even $10 goes a long way in keeping this divine message flowing and helping us reach more souls with prophetic truth. Your support is seen, appreciated, and blessed. Type I rise now in the comments if this word has reached your spirit. Blessing code 9999 is now flowing through your decisions, your future, and your legacy. This is the resolution. This is the spiritual full circle. The cry that echoed through heaven at 4:44 a.m. has now reached its destination, you. And because you have heard it, everything around you must now respond. Something is shifting. Something has already shifted. The atmosphere that once resisted you is now bending. The gates that once stood closed before you are beginning to tremble. Because this is what happens when remembrance becomes action. This is what happens when you not only hear the message but embody it. The tears of Archangel Michael were not shed in vain. They were seeds, and now those seeds are bearing fruit. And that fruit is transformation. A divine exchange is happening. What was once taken will be returned. What was once blocked will be opened. What was once forgotten will be honored. There is a ripple forming in the spirit, and it carries your name. The energy around your life is no longer chaotic. It is calibrated. The winds are no longer wild. They are directed. The voices that once spoke against you are being silenced, not because you fought them, but because heaven shut their access. And now, in this silence, clarity descends. Revelation begins to fall like rain. People will begin to reach out. Old ties will surface. Opportunities will rise. But this time, you will respond from discernment, not desperation. From wisdom, not wounds. From strength, not survival. You are no longer operating from fear. You are being led by fire. Listen closely. Someone is about to come forward. Someone who once misunderstood you. Someone who once doubted your motives. someone who once walked away. They will bring the truth, a confession, a moment of clarity. But do not let their arrival distract you from your direction. Whether they apologize or not, the healing has already happened. You are not waiting for closure. You've created your own. You are not desperate for their recognition. You've been recognized by heaven. What comes next is not dependent on their words. It is already written. This is your elevation. This is your reward. This is your release. Michael declares with finality, what was meant to break you has only revealed your blueprint. What was meant to silence you has only amplified your purpose. What they forgot about you, heaven never did. And now that you remember, the angelic are in motion. Blessings are not just coming, they are being revealed. They were always there, hidden behind fear, waiting behind forgiveness, trapped behind forgotten faith. But now the veil is torn. The light is unstoppable. The transformation is irreversible. What you touched with trembling hands before, you now command with boldness. What you prayed for in tears, you now receive with authority. And what you doubted in your darkest nights, you now declare in full light. I am chosen. I am called. I am transformed. Expect signs. Expect symbols. Expect spiritual confirmation in ways you cannot deny. A number, a name, a dream, an email, a divine encounter in a mundane moment. Pay attention. These are not coincidences. These are coded affirmations from a realm that's been watching, waiting, and working on your behalf. What you once called delay was preparation. What you called isolation was insulation. What you feared with Bonham and had Huli Poseidon. And now that you've reached this point, now that you've remembered, your path is being cleared. Your enemies are being exposed. Your legacy is being written in gold. Type I am transformed in the comments if this word was for you. Blessing code 1144 now flows over your past, present, and prophetic future. Now is the time to move. Not with haste, not with panic, but with holy urgency. Archangel Michael has not led you through these revelations just for comfort. He has led you here for activation. Because revelation without action is just inspiration. And heaven is not calling you to be inspired. Heaven is calling you to be ignited. You have been reminded. You have been stirred. You have been spiritually awakened by the cry that came at 4:44 a.m. But now comes the true test. Will you respond? Will you step out of the fog of forgetting and into the fire of your future? Will you let the memory of your mission take root in your actions? This isn't about a grand gesture. It's about spiritual agreement. Your destiny does not unlock with applause. It unlocks with alignment. This is why Archangel Michael is still watching, still waiting, still measuring your response. Because your choice in this moment determines the release of what's already hovering over your life. The angels have been positioned. The path has been lit. The signs are flashing. But heaven will never force the door open. You must walk through it. You must declare who you are. You must step boldly into what you've remembered. You must speak with your mouth what your spirit already knows. Say it out loud. Whisper it. Hype it. Shout it if you must. Let your words become your weapon. Let your declaration become your doorway. Because in the spirit realm, words don't just communicate, they create. When you type I remember, you are not just commenting, you are aligning. When you say, I am chosen, you are not flattering heaven. You are activating favor. The enemy cannot withstand a soul that speaks its identity. Darkness flees when light stops apologizing for shining. Your silence was once survival. Now, your voice is your strategy. Use it. Proclaim it. Announce yourself to the atmosphere that once forgot who you were. You are not who you used to be. You are not in the same season. You are not repeating the old pattern. The moment you type your agreement, the moment you speak your alignment, the spiritual world takes notice. Chains fall. Delays break. Angelic assignments are triggered. Don't underestimate what your yes does. Don't downplay the shift that happens when you no longer whisper truth, but shout it with holy authority. This is more than motivation. This is movement. The winds of change are already blowing around you. And if you respond now, not tomorrow, not next week, but now, then what was hovering will begin to descend. Let this be your turning point. Let this be your line in the sand. Mark this moment with a declaration. Heaven needs your response. The angels cannot act until your soul says yes. Your miracle does not wait on a perfect moment. It waits on a bold move. Don't just receive this message in silence. Don't just feel something. Say something. Shift your words, and your world will follow. Say it with authority. Comment with conviction. Stand in the power of your yes and let Michael release what has been waiting in the wings since the tear fell at 4:44. Type "I activate my calling" in the comments right now if this message has struck your soul. Blessing code 2222 is now unlocking doors no man can shut. Let it be known in heaven and echoed on earth. You are no longer who you were before this message found you. The tear of Archangel Michael was not in vain. That divine cry at 4:44 a.m. was not just a moment in the spirit. It was the moment of your remembering, your realignment, your reawakening. You have not merely listened. You have answered. And because you answered, your atmosphere is shifting. Your alignment is stabilizing. Your destiny is no longer waiting, it is walking toward you. You were not forgotten. You were not abandoned. You were not late. You were simply being prepared for this exact moment of unveiling. Now you know. Now you remember. Now you understand why the silence was necessary. Why the tears had to fall. Why the isolation had to deepen. Why the people left. Why the confusion lingered. It wasn't to break you. It was to build you, not into someone else, but back into your true self. The you that heaven saw when it breathed life into your lungs. The you that carries light the darkness cannot decipher. The you that speaks an atmosphere shift. The you that was hidden, not because you were unworthy, but because you were holy. And now, Archangel Michael confirms this. Your emergence has begun. The covering is lifting. The fire is spreading. You are stepping into realms that were always yours. Let those who didn't believe look again. Let those who underestimated you listen closely. Because your silence wasn't surrender. It was the sound of strategy. And now your presence will speak what your words never needed to. And now your peace will do the talking. Now your elevation will silence every lie. You are not a victim. You are not fragile. You are not behind. You are the revelation. You are the warrior. You are the one they didn't see coming. And Michael, the defender of destiny, now speaks this final truth over you. They tried to break you, but only revealed your blueprint. They tried to stop you, but only confirmed your power. They tried to erase you, but they could not touch what God has sealed. So walk forward, not with doubt, not with fear, not with apology. Walk forward with your head high and your faith louder than your fear. Walk forward knowing you are not walking alone. The hosts of heaven surround you. The divine archive is now active. Every delay is being dismantled. Every lie is being undone. Every word ever spoken against your truth is now falling to the ground with no power to root. Archangel Michael walks before you, clearing your path, sealing your name, defending your promise. And nothing, no voice, no attack, no confusion, can override what has already been written in the language of eternity. If this message has affirmed your identity, your journey, your fire, and you feel led to support this sacred space, consider giving a super thanks. A gift of $50, $20, $10, whatever you feel led to offer, helps keep this light burning, this voice speaking, and this mission reaching those still in the dark. Your support isn't just seen, it is blessed. Now type "I am the revelation" in the comments. Blessing code 4444 has now completed its cycle around you. You are covered, confirmed, and catapulted. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. Let them worry. You rise.